Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly, and we're back with another East Tennessee fishing report with Ellis Ward. How you doing, Ellis?
I am staying warm. How are you?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We were talking before we started recording. I think last time your prediction was it wasn't going to get below freezing again until the fall, and I think you lost that bet.
Yeah, big strike there.
Yeah.
There might be pockets of East Tennessee that never really dip below 32, but it's been last night and tonight, the next night, or it's getting down into the upper 20s, and then it's basically winter weather through the days. So not really much to complain about because of the seasonable conditions we typically have, but mid to upper 30s and 20-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, and then you're going to bounce back, and it's not going to be like summer weather like we almost had, but it's going to be more seasonable, kind of in the 50s and 60s. What do you expect to see on the water?
Well, based on what I was seeing last week, which was kind of weird, we were sort of entering into this colder, the snap didn't really hit with it's 65 and now it's 30. So we kind of started trending away from that summer weather and then getting to where we are now. So I started seeing on the Watauga pretty good numbers of not the big caddis that either the numbers or the size that everyone talks about that the Watauga is known for, but the caddis are fully coming out, and they're 18s on the bigger side, but they are they're out in numbers along with all the blue wings, and that's just it's a biomass. It's a source of food that really can't be ignored by any fish. So dry fly fishing, when it's not too uncomfortable or too windy to deliver a size 20, should be turning on. It can always be good. They're always eating on top. There's midges and everything, but when there's this many bugs and they're new and the rivers are still yet to be super pressured this season, little CDC simple caddis stuff and even fishing subsurface. And by subsurface, not a euphemism for nymphing, but fishing an emerger type caddis pupa that either rides on the surface and might sink a little bit with your leader pulling it down. But fishing those almost like streamers, because those little caddis pupa are super, super twitchy and really, really fast right before they come up. And it's a good way to elicit some strikes from fish that otherwise wouldn't be sipping on a dry fly. And it's also just a fun way to fish. So that type of activity, that surface activity, is going to be increasing in the next week or so.
Yeah, and the good thing is that makes those fish a little stupid, really, right?
Yeah, it really can. And they tend to, I don't want to say they learn, they're fish. Their brains are really small. But they are required by nature to survive. So, the bigger ones, if they are getting stung or if they're watching others, it's why the big ones turn nocturnal. But they, those lessons are pretty few and far between in the less pressured runs, and also just this time of year.
Yeah, got it. And got an interesting question for you too from Ren, and it's a streamer question. He wanted to get your thoughts on, how much of your streamer selection is based on what you're seeing from a bait activity perspective versus fly action.
Sure. It can go both ways. I hate to sound like the the guide out of every movie or book, but the fly action when I'm running a trip, if I have I can tell if someone is excited about fishing a fly, and I can tell when someone is meh, and then I can tell when I'm excited about a fly, for example, because of bait activity, and I give it to them, and they're almost being polite, wanting to fish it, and some of it's just a learning curve, some of it's they don't like the color, whatever. And in those instances, the way I pick up on what the angler is doing, and I mean, you can see it, you can hear it in casting and their strip cadence and all that. That's number one for how I'm running trips. For my own fly selection, I'm going action first in most of the rivers. And then, I've been fishing smallmouth a little more recently. The lakes, or I'll just say the lake, Boone Lake below South Holston and Watauga is starting to warm up to a point of the bait. And by bait, I mean both the fish and, little shad and also crawdads. Things are starting to become more active. So it's about this time of year where bait activity does become something that I start to lean on a little more. And again, with flies, I think because flies are, I was going to say somewhat, because flies are very limited in both how far they can be placed and also, water columns and the action that you get anyways. Generally speaking, the more erratic of a swim with a really hard, that's why I like the deer hair bugs, the really hard and fast kill with the change in direction. I'm going to go with that first. I might switch up profile. Color doesn't really matter that much, but profile and flash content are two things I'll switch up. Fishing gear is something that starting this time of year is really an interesting way to explore that theory, because you can be fishing big lures and be picking up the typical predatory either protection or feeding eats. And depending on where you are in the river systems and what the lake's doing and what the bait's doing, you start throwing on smaller stuff and put it into good places with less action and just being a little more patient. And some of my biggest client caught fish on gear last year were on really small baits and with a presentation that was not flashy or erratic whatsoever.
Yeah, interesting. And folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us. You can DM us on social media, whatever is easiest for you. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag. And then we enter a drawing for 2 days of fishing with Ellis and a night at the Watauga River Lodge with Brownie. So you definitely need to get your questions in. And Ellis, I know last time we spoke, you didn't have as productive a bucktail season as you wanted, but do you still have a few hanging on that folks can pick up?
I do still have a handful of really nice dyed ones. They might be gone in the next few days, but some olives and marigolds and what have you. But all the white ones have found good homes.
There you go, being chopped up as we speak.
That's right.
And before I let you go and get out on the water today, you want to let folks know where they can find you and book you and all that kind of good stuff?
Sure. Instagram is Ellis Ward Guides. Website's elliswardflies.com. And best way to contact me and just ask about trips, book a trip, whatever it is texting or calling me on my cell phone, which is 513-543-0019.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ellis.
Appreciate it, Marv.